Hello learners, welcome to the another session for the toxicology, environmental toxicology, that is MEV 004. Today we are going to discuss about other new topic, that is the detoxification. So what we have studied in the previous class, just we have to recapitulate. So in the previous session we have discussed about the sources of toxic substances, especially chemical toxicants. So they are classified on the basis of their nature, mode of action, into the exposure class, where we have studied that exposure ourselves to the toxicants. Some examples also we have studied, like food, water, air and soil, like this. Another class is use class. In that we have studied drugs of abuse and therapeutic drugs, agricultural chemicals and food additives, pesticides, plant toxins and also cosmetics. So today we have discussed some of the important features of how we have exposed to the toxins. The truth is, we have to accept that toxins are everywhere, ubiquitous in nature. There are too many to count and also have the complex interactions. So we are exposed daily to a wide variety of chemical compounds or foreign bodies. Normally we can call them as xenobiotics. So these substances can be absorbed across the lungs, otherwise sometimes skin, or more commonly it is ingested either unintentionally as compounds which are present in food, drink, and also deliberately as drugs for therapeutic uses, as well as sometimes it is a recreational purposes. So exposure to the environmental xenobiotics, that may be inadvertent as well as accidental sometimes, and when they are present at components of air, water, food, and also they are highly inescapable. So the process of the substances or addiction, whatever we can call it as the addiction of a drug or addiction of compound, that continuously we are exposed to that. So before going to discuss about the detoxification, it is very useful to understand how our body becomes addicted and also why withdrawal symptoms are experienced. So in physical addiction, or otherwise we can call them as a dependence. That means any person uses a substance or chemical, just for example coffee or tea, regularly over a long period of time, his or her body chemistry definitely changes. That means the metabolism or the body molecules will definitely change. So once a substance enters into the body through drinking or smoking or injecting or otherwise inhaling, so it travels through the bloodstream to the brain. We know that the brain has a complex reward system built in when people engage in this type of activities that are important for their survival, for example eating. So special nerve cells in the brain that releases some chemicals, normally we can call them as neurotransmitters, like dopamine, so that induce feelings of pleasure. So we want to have something to eat, so we have in our mind that we want to have some pleasure out of it. So because of this reward system in the brain, we are programmed to want to repeat that actions which has the pleasant sensations. So if we will express in another way, that is, feelings of pleasure reinforce certain activities or behaviors. So addictive substances that interfere with this reward system. So some drugs mimic the effects of natural chemical. Some block the communication between nerve cells, and some substances trigger a larger than normal release of neurotransmitters like dopamine. So what will happen? The result is the interference is the dependent drug users physically need the drugs to feel pleasure. So as they become more dependent, their bodies becomes less responsive to that substances after longer duration and need more of it to get the desired responses. This is the most important concept. So this phenomenon normally we can call it as tolerance. So as a result of this interference with the brain's system, when the dependent user does not have the drug in his or her system, feelings of depression or unpleasant withdrawal symptoms may be experienced. So normally we can call it as they are so depressed. So these are the some of the consequences. They will also reinforce the substance use. So people or the human beings dependent on substances, they have to using more drugs to avoid the depression or the withdrawal symptoms. So what are the consequences? Altered brain function and gut disturbances and reproductive disorders, and then hormone disruption and nutrient depletion, inflammations, cancers and diabetics, cardiovascular diseases and many more like this. So the statistics from the Center for Disease Control CDC report on human exposure to environmental chemicals shows that 6 chemicals in particular found in every person and identified as important health hazards. So what are they? They are flame retardants, that is the PBDEs, that is a heat and stain resistant chemicals, PFOAs and bisphenols from plastics and mercury from fish, and the combination of chemicals, that is MTBE and fried food items which we are found normally, acrylamide, and also the carcinogens from the food dyes, and then preservatives, artificial sweeteners, alcohols, chemicals and cosmetics. So 10 billion pounds of toxic waste produced only from the United States. So that means 47 million pounds of mercury dumped into US environment every year. So it is an alarming situation. So as part of the normal metabolism, our body produces toxins, that is also normal regular function. So that those have to be eliminated. So we are constantly exposed to either exo, that is from outside, or endogenous toxins are from within our system. So detoxification, the other term is also known as the biotransformation is a special process in which a substance is changed from one chemical to another chemical by a reaction in our body itself. So in other way I would like to put forward, that is, it is the process by which toxic substances which are converted into more soluble and less toxic substances which are mainly eliminated through urine as well as bile. So why these compounds have to metabolize? So these compounds are normally, we can call it as, in these terms, toxicants. They are lipophilic in nature. That means they can easily cross the lipid bilayers and transported by the lipoproteins. So metabolism of these endogenous as well as the exogenous compounds, what they will do, they will allow the organisms to convert lipophilic compounds to more water soluble compounds, so that it can be easily excreted. So our body has to have the mechanism, and also it will facilitate the whatever the toxins which are present in our body, it somehow they have to make them to soluble in water and should be excreted properly. So most of these compounds, they contain aromatic rings and heterocyclic structures that we are unable to degrade or recycle. So it is very difficult. Then the load on the liver as well as kidneys will be more. So these structures are hydrophobic in nature. So metabolism of these compounds obviously occur in 2 phases. It is not possible to eliminate in only one phase. So that is the phase 1 as well as the phase 2. Normally, that is a toxicant in phase 1, it will normally we can call it as a primary metabolite. In phase 2, that means whatever it is the process happened, that we will discuss later on, it will enter into the phase 2, that normally we can call it as the degraded substance, that is secondary metabolite, which are suitable for the excretion. So we will see that what reactions occur in our body to metabolize these toxicants, whether it is from food or from the environment. First it should undergo in phase 1 reactions. So phase 1 reactions in our body, just you have to keep it in your mind. So oxidation reaction, reduction reaction as well as the hydrolysis reaction which occurs in our body. So we can understand that it is a small laboratory, our human body. So what type of reactions normally occur in phase reactions? So it adds the functional group on the molecules and increases water solubility. So This activity is located in microsomal fraction of the cell. So we all know that our body is made up of tiny units cells. So this phase normally works defense against the toxins and also uses a group of enzymes. Normally we can call them as cytochrome P450 family. So you have to understand that these are more important to make them to dissociate. So these enzymes protect our cells from damage by, that is the activated by many external toxins. Some examples I would like to give that what are the toxins. So normally caffeine from coffee, alcohol, dioxins, paint fumes, steroids, pesticides, and some people will use the sleeping pills and contraceptive pills and the cortisone types. So it's also activated in favorable by so many things, that is herbs, milk thistle, as well as the caraway seeds and dill, and also some citrus fruits like tangerines and oranges, that is a grapefruit, and also normally it will cut down the phase 1. And vitamin C rich foods are also more important to detoxify, that is the strawberries and bell peppers, and also some cruciferous families of vegetables. They are brassica, that is Brussels sprouts and broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and also kale, and then turnips, and vitamin C is also most important, and it is also lipotrophics. So these compounds, what they will do, they will break down fat metabolism, that is a cysteine, methionine, choline, and also inositol. And some minerals are also there, there is a magnesium and then iron. So converting volatile toxins into smaller substances, that is the facilitate for further detoxification. So making toxins, that is a water soluble, in order to enter into the phase 2 process. So in the phase 2 reactions, previously in phase 1 oxidation, reduction, it is there, and in phase 2 reactions, conjugation reactions will take place. Remember that all these reactions will happen in our human body itself. So in phase 2 reactions, sulfonation, methylation, and glucuronation, some type of reaction. So they will enter into the phase 2, and also this activity is located in the systolic fraction of the cell. So phase 2 is all about the conjugation that uses 6 different pathways to take water soluble phase 1 metabolites out of our body through bile, urine, as well as the stool. So phase 2 reactions absolutely requires sulfur compounds. So the sulfur will comes from cruciferous family of vegetables, that is the garlic, onions, and also when non-vegetarian dishes like meat, egg yolks, like this. And amino acids, glycine, that is cysteine or N-acetylcysteine, and taurine, and then methionite, that is coming from the meat. And also some metals, that is a trace minerals, we can say that molybdenum, that comes from the leafy vegetables, as well as the liver, and then vitamin B12 and glutathione, and also these are the made up of from the amino acids, and also otherwise we can take it in the liposomal form. So sometimes the detoxification mechanism will slow. So there are so many reasons for the detoxification. So sometimes why the detoxification in some people, it may vary from person to person. So slow detoxification, we can think that because of the leaky bowel or sluggish bowel, and then sometimes poor nutrition, and then weak genes, and also higher environmental stress, that is a load of exposure is more. So the time for action is, so the general population especially is exposed to sufficient POPs in terms of concentrations and then diversity to induce metabolic disorders that normally we won't realize that why it is happened to us. So in the phase 1 pathway of detoxification, the main goal is to transform lipid based toxins, that is the most toxins are lipid base that have accumulated in the cell by using the biotransforming enzymes that they are commonly they have ability to catalyze or the induce the oxidation, reduction as well as the hydrolysis reactions of the toxins. So, that cytochrome P450 enzyme group is highly responsible for this process of transforming the toxins to be more water soluble for the excretion, as well as the transforming them to be bound with other molecules in phase 2 to make them even more water soluble for the easier excretion. So, there is a very surprising as well as the automatic mechanism which is produced by our body. So, that is the human response for the outer toxins. So, phase 1 is mainly and then highly dependent on the cytochrome P450 enzymes, because their speed of metabolism and also it is affected by things like genetics and then exercise and the presence or the sometimes absence of certain substances or the supplements in the diet that can either speed them up, or that is the inducing, or slow them down, that is the inhibiting. So, after being acted upon the P450 enzymes, they become free radicals. That means they are converted into free radicals, and if not, enough phase 2 enzymes to act quickly upon them. So they can do secondary cellular damages to the body. So, many substances that inhibit cytochrome P450. So, this situation can cause substantial problems as it makes toxins potentially more damaging, because they remain in the body longer time before detoxification. So, then only we will have some sort of clinical symptoms in our body. So, many medications are available, that is the antacids as well as the antihistamines, and many more have the potential to block the liver's phase 1, phase 2 detoxification pathways. So, phase 1 and phase 2 are not in balance if suppose that is enough phase 2 enzymes to process the products of phase 1. So, we have to run the risk of the increasing free radical damage and our body becoming more toxic. So, a high quality detoxification program that balances as well as the induces the proper enzymes in phase 1 and phase 2 to work efficiently, that can be really helpful. So, a detox program that only stimulates or supports one's detoxification pathway, or we can say that ends prematurely, that can have the opposite effect of the detoxification and can also have the negative effects on our system with unwanted harmful free radicals. So, what natural products induce or enhance the action of phase 1? So, phase 1 and this is the P450 enzymes that require certain nutrients to be present to effectively prepare them for phase 2. So, high quality protein sources like which are essential, and also too little that can hinder this P450 activity. So, in addition to that, the body must have adequate amounts of vitamin B, magnesium, selenium and zinc. So, phase 1 produces free radicals that requires antioxidants like vitamin E, vitamin C and also a lot of carotenoids. So, no matter whatever it is the detox program one has to choose or one can choose, if these are not present in sufficient amounts in our body, so you will not experience an optimum detoxification. So, what will happen in phase 2? So, phase 2, it is also known as what we have seen, that is a conjugation pathway, because it takes the products from the phase 1 and binds them with phase 2 substances, that is a conjugates, normally we can call it as, to facilitate it less harmful and also more water soluble for easier excretion. So, there is a change in phase 1 metabolites in phase 2 process. So, these phase 2 conjugates like amino acids and sugars, glutathiones which is stimulated by the N-acetylcysteine, and methionine, sulfur which is present in garlic, onions, and also the acetyl coenzyme A. So, it is very important that phase 2 is working quickly, because some of the metabolites which have already degraded in phase 1 reaction, and it comes into the phase 2 and efficiently after phase 1. So, as there is a growing scientific evidence also there in reports that suggesting that certain diseases which are direct result of damage to the body from poor phase 2 detoxification. So, some of the diseases that may caused by the toxic intermediate metabolites and free radicals like cancer, Parkinson's disease, and then fibromyalgia, and then chronic fatigue, and also immune dysfunction. So, phase 2 enzymes work to further enhance the solubility and also to reduce the toxicity. So, through conjugation, the liver, what it will do, it can turn drugs, hormones, and also number of toxins into water soluble as well as the excretable substances. So, what natural products can enhance the phase 2 detoxification? So, for efficient phase 2 detoxification, the liver cells require sulfur containing amino acids like taurine and then cysteine. So, the nutrients glycine, glutamine, choline, and also inositol are also required for efficient phase 2 detoxification. So, eggs, cruciferous vegetables, what we have already seen, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, raw garlic, onions, leeks, shallots. There are so many useful sources for the natural sulfur compounds to enhance the phase 2 detoxification. So, we have to keep it in our mind. So, in our diet, all these things we have to include. So, these foods that can be considered to have the cleansing action. So, it is always best to get what you need from a healthy varied diet. So, it is not always possible to feed the body enough of these with the optimal amount of nutrients which that the body will need to detoxify, especially if we are experiencing the toxic overload sometimes. So, phase 2 detoxification needs to be feed the proper conjugates, that is the amino acids, nutrients like glycine, glutamine, choline, and also inositol to transform the phase 1 intermediates into compounds that can be easily excreted. So, this is a common roadblock for many attempting to cleanse or detoxify, and we can say that it is a legitimate reason to consider a comprehensive detoxification program from a reputable nutrition consultancy or any healthcare workers. So, is there any other phase? One more phase is there, that is a phase 3. So, what will happen in phase 3? So, phase 3 normally we can call it as the waste removal as well as the excretion phase. So, phase 1 metabolites will enter into phase 2, phase 2. In phase 2 process, that is a conjugation occurs, and then they will make a water soluble compounds so that they can be easily excreted. So, in phase 3 it is an excretion phase. So, during these phase 3, whatever the conjugates from phase 2 which are now water soluble and that those have been reduced in toxicity also, they are ready to remove from the body. So, they are pumped into the bile and intestinal lumen to be processed, and from there it can be eliminated. So, in this portion of the detoxification, healthy gut is most important. If you have an imbalance of healthy bacteria versus what we can call it as a bad bacteria, that is a E. coli as well as the Clostridium, the bad bacteria that can produce enzymes like that is a beta glucuronidase that deconjugate, that means that unbind them the phase 2 compounds and then making them impossible to eliminate, and then sending back to the again processed again and again by the liver. So, further increasing a person's toxic load. That means if it is not properly excreted at this phase also, the body will send that all toxins into back to liver. So, obviously the load will be more on the liver. So, this negative feedback loop can be a of course, it is very have the weird symptoms as well as the disease states. That is why proper detoxification is normally normally is suggested from the doctors. So, what natural products can enhance the phase 3? Research has already shown that calcium D-glucarate and the glucaric acid, which are found in various fruits and vegetables like oranges, apples, grapefruit and cruciferous vegetables that inhibit beta glucuronidase, thereby supporting the detoxification. Like that, constituents of milk thistle, one more compound is also there that also inhibit the enzyme beta glucuronidase. That enzyme also inhibits the enzyme of the beta G. So, now with all these things keep it in your mind, we have to think for the what type of diet we have to take. So, learners, we have to conclude this session by that understanding that we are increasingly exposed to various xenobiotics in the present scenario, as well as the hydrophobic, that is a non-polar xenobiotics that would persist in adipose tissue, normally that is a fat tissue, almost indefinitely if they were not converted to polar forms. The most important example is the DDT. So, knowledge of the metabolism of xenobiotics is basic to a rational understanding of pharmacology as well as the therapeutics, pharmacy, toxicology, cancer research and also drug addiction. So, all these areas involve the administration or exposure to xenobiotics. So, the overall mechanism of detoxification is to increase the water solubility of toxic products and to facilitate their excretion from the body, mostly in urine and also through bile as well as feces. So, the products of phase 1 reaction, that is a detoxification, are either excreted directly or undergo further metabolism by phase 2 reactions, that is the intoxication, and then excreted. In some cases, a xenobiotic may undergo only phase 2 reaction without undergoing phase 1 reaction also. So, occasionally xenobiotic may be excreted unchanged also. With all these, we will meet you in the next session with some more points of the toxicity. Thank you.